Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another World of Warcraft classic video. In today's episode, it's going to be a bit more chill, so sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee or tea maybe, level and alt, tab out, do what you gotta do, and enjoy as I share with you the 9 rarest mounts from the original World of Warcraft. Number 9, the Alterac Valley PvP mounts. Now back in vanilla, there weren't a whole lot of mounts to begin with. There was like a handful of them. So anything you could do to diversify away from your starting racial mount was pretty exotic and cool. So once upon a time, these were pretty badass mounts. I mean, they weren't the hardest thing ever to get. They took, it took getting exalted with either the Frostwolf clan or Stormpike, and they cost 600 gold each, but it was doable. But the thing is, I mean, AV was a completely different beast back then. It wasn't like what we have today. The meta of AV really hadn't been fleshed out. These things lasted for so freaking long. Here's the Alliance one, and here is the Frostwolf Howler, the Horde equivalent. Number 8 is the Winterspring Frostsaber. This mount was one hell of a grind, let me tell you. I never did it back in Classic, but the poor unfortunate souls that did, they spent a decent chunk of their lifespan grinding this thing out. It looks pretty sweet. It's kind of a Night Stalker, unique appearance, kind of cool wintry look to it. You get it in Winterspring. It's Alliance only. You get it by earning reputation with this random guy. You can do 3 repeatable quests that award 50 to 75 reputation each. You just do them over and 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 over again. And you know, you could do it for hours a day. It's still going to take you months. And then you eventually get this mount. There's a couple cool things about the mount though. It was a very fast epic mount, but it only required level 40 apprentice riding skill. So in theory you could have, you know, a very fast mount before getting 60. Of course you wasted the last 2 months of your life grinding this. But it looked pretty cool. The other thing about it, yeah, it is Alliance only. Horde didn't really have an equivalent back in vanilla. Blizzard did implement a Venomhide Ravissor, is what you're seeing right here. This was in the game, and there actually was an NPC in Ungoro Crater that I guess was supposed to have a quest line for Horde to have an equivalent, but it was only much later, like till Wrath of the Lich King, that they put that in. So in Classic, this was a Alliance only mount. But because it is like 100%, if you just put the time and energy in, you will get this. It's 100%. That's why it's so low on the list. You know, it's not like a drop rate type mount. So it's kind of just something you grind out. Number 7 are the rank 11 PvP mounts. Now you guys might be wondering, Kargoz, why are these so low? You know, rank 11 was hard. Yeah, it was hard, and it took a lot of time, but it was within your control. You could do it again, you know, and if you just really put in that work, you could get these mounts. You know, I think arguably it's you know, you're more likely to get these mounts than to get like a super low drop rate mount competing against 19 other people. You know what I mean? And you could barely solo dungeons. You could try. Certain classes could sort of do it, but like soloing raids, forget about it. No shot. So, you know, so I think these are a little bit easier to get. Here are the Alliance mounts. You got the black, you got the black Battle Strider, black War Ram. They look pretty sweet. Here are the Alliance ones. You know, they definitely had a wow factor back in Classic. Here's the Horde ones. If you saw someone riding around on this in the BG or out in the open world, you knew that this guy put that work in. They were competent. You didn't want to mess with them, right? Because I mean, they weren't just gonna roll over and take it. They were gonna put up a fight, you know. And I remember being pretty awestruck seeing people ride around on these things as a little noob. They're pretty cool mounts. Okay, now we're on to the drop rate mounts. This is number 6, the Swift Zulian Tiger. This drops from Zul Garub. There are 2 mounts that drop from Zul Garub, both this and the Swift Razzashi Raptor. Classic DB puts them both at a 2% drop rate, which seems plausible because why would one be a higher drop rate than the other? But Wowhead puts this one at 0.60% and the Raptor at 0.48%. So that's how I'm going to organize them. This one drops off High Priestess the Call. As you can see, it's a gorgeous mount. I mean, it really pops. Look at it, it's got the green armor on it. It's got the green eyes. It's got the, you know, the orange stripes. It looks phenomenal. I mean, you're competing against 19 other people to get this thing. You know, people were jelly if you had this thing, and you know, people farmed this thing for many moons trying to get it. Really cool mount. Number 5, we just talked about it, was the Swift Razzashi Raptor. This, you know, 0.48% drop chance. It drops off Bloodseeker Mandakir, another ZG boss. Just a really cool mount. You know, it's a thing you could be Alliance to ride a Raptor, which is a pretty cool thing, you know, so it's a sweet mount. Alright, number 4 is the Deathcharger's Reigns, aka Baron Rivendare's trusty steed, aka, you know, the ability to ride a skeletal warhorse if you are Alliance. Drops in Stratholme off the last boss, Baron Rivendare. So this mount was pretty nutty in the sense that it had a 0.02% chance to drop. It didn't even look that crazy, but I guess the craziest thing about it is you could be Alliance riding one of these skeletal warhorses. So you already knew what was up if you saw someone riding a skeletal warhorse back in the day. Yeah, I mean, you have a better chance of winning the lottery, or, you know, dying in a plane crash, or getting eaten by a freaking great white shark or something. So, I mean, people still farm this thing, but it's a status symbol in WoW. I mean, if you have this thing, you're kind of a big deal. But yeah, it didn't look too crazy. Epic mount. And the thing is, even if it did drop, you'd have to compete against 4 other people most likely in order to get this thing. So I don't think, unless you were super geared, I don't think you could solo this. Okay, number 3, the pre 1.4 unarmored epic mounts. These were only available for 23 weeks, and it required you getting 60 pretty quick, like way above the average, and then buying an epic mount, which they didn't have armor at the time, and then not trading it in 1.4 when Blizzard implemented armored mounts. So they implemented these armored mounts, and you could trade them in, and the vast majority of people did. And to this day, these are the rarest mounts, even in retail. They are the rarest mounts in the game. So you had to get 60 pretty quick with not a lot of guidance, not a lot of resources at your disposal, and then resist the urge to trade this in for a mount that, to many people's eyes, looked cooler, and there was a certain hype around it. Like, how could you have the foresight of thinking, like, you know, friggin' 15 years later, you know, this thing is going to be a collector's item and super rare. I think they look pretty cool. Some of the Raptors look awesome, like the albino Raptor, the modeled Raptor I like for sure. But yeah, if you see someone riding this, you know they're an old head. I knew it was up. Number 2 is an urban legend, a WoW myth, per se. I thought it was a really cool story, and I was going to add it in the video. After doing a little bit of investigative journalism on this mount, or these mounts, rather, I've come to the conclusion that they probably didn't exist. I mean, they probably weren't available in retail to the common player. These items definitely existed in the database, but I am, of course, talking about the Reigns of the Bengal Tiger and some other mounts we'll see in a second. So there is definitely lots of YouTube videos out there of people mounting these and showing this crazy cave. I'll talk about it now. Below Zul'Gurub, there is a cave that appears to be marked, and you have to take some really weird Fugazi path to get there. But you kind of finesse your way over there, and apparently once a month, aligned with a full moon, a vendor would spawn in this little hovel, and he would sell you 4 mounts. I mean, it's just such a cool, flavorful thing. And I mean, these skins did exist. I mean, look at this video, man. I mean, whether or not they existed for the common player, you know, this is why I love vanilla WoW. It really felt so dark and mysterious. Like you could just go off in another direction, and you were like friggin' Lewis and Clark, and you could just find some weird stuff that was uncharted territory. Really, really cool. As you can see, there's the Bengal Tiger, there's this black tiger, there's a little leopard mount too. But yeah, I thought I'd share it in here. And finally, number 1, the Black Qiraji Resonating Crystal. I mean, this is not going to be a huge shock for a lot of the people who, you know, who know about vanilla. You got this mount through an epic quest line. You had to bang the gong. It was during the Encourage war effort event. It was a one-time event. Apparently, there was a small window after someone got it that other people could quickly, if I think it was like within 15 minutes, they could also get it. You would get a Scarab Lord title, and to this day, it's the only legendary mount added into the game. You could ride it both inside Encourage and outside of Encourage. It looks sweet. I mean, people, it's the stuff of legend. Like, people will, that's a conversation starter right there. Oh my god, dude, I saw a guy on the Scarab Lord mount. You know, I feel famous now that I saw that guy. Well, another, you know, Blizzard was unapologetic with vanilla, man. Like, they weren't scared of putting just a one-off skin in there. So again, really, really epic. Probably the rarest mount on this list for sure. The only legendary mount. Not a huge shocker to a lot of you, but that's it. So thank you so much for joining me today on this little journey to learn about the rarest mounts in Classic World of Warcraft. What is your favorite mount from Classic WoW? Do you have a favorite mount? Is there anything I missed? You know, some of these rankings are a little subjective, a little wonky, because, you know, you have to argue back and forth about whether drop rate mounts are rarer than the rank 11 ones and stuff like that. But overall, it was a fun video to make. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment, rate, subscribe if you liked it, you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, guys.